whites is not pride for being white. It's unadulterated hatred for everyone else. And this is not speculative. There is evidence. And these folks, as they speak, they're sitting on the bones of the Native Americans who were murdered. And there was never any criminal case. There was never any apology. In fact, oppositely, they made a holiday and called it Thanksgiving and acted like it was all good. They're standing on the bones of what is mass murder, and it occurred on a racial basis. Many of these people have not changed at all. It's not about being pro-white. It's about being anti-everything else. And that is the problem with these people, is that they are, in fact, devils on earth. We never had a problem with you being pro-white. And when they try to flip the script and call black people black supremacists, you cannot give a single instance in the history of the United States where you have any group of black people who committed organized violence against whites merely because they're white. I'll repeat that. Any group of black people, an organization of black people who committed organized violence against whites merely because they're white. Black people don't have it in them. I've many times described black people as an effeminate mass. Conversely, you can describe the neo-Nazis, you can describe the Ku Klux Klan, you can describe the whole industry that was around transatlantic enslavement, and the dead bodies hanging from the trees have even been immortalized in songs like Strange.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to start off by giving all praises and blessings to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Raha HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to the elect. Pushing this truth and in all truth and in sincerity. Risking life and livelihood in so doing, especially in these days and times. Shalom to the women and the children watching and learning. All right. And this is a good, sometimes, there's a lot of information. Okay. Now, we've already been privy to this topic that he's bringing out. But there's a lot of videos, okay, of Jake waking up. All right, so these are the end times, man. Okay, and so I'm doing this video because, as our people, those who are still in a sleep, okay, nocturnal state of mind. There's a campaign that's trying to, shame. It's a campaign trying to shame you if you claim your heritage. All right. You say, "Well, I'm a Hebrew Israelite," and there is a campaign by none other, okay, than us. Okay, none other than us. We have jumped on the bandwagon to shame those who have woken up to their identity, to their heritage. Okay, but meanwhile, you're paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to a school. Okay, whether you went to college or not, you're promoting white supremacy. Okay, because that's what this country is built off of. All right, and at the end of the day, all right, these so-called white people, they are the wicked. Okay, and two-thirds of our people, you're part of you're not the actual wicked, okay? But you're acting and posing as the wicked. All right. So I don't have any scriptures put together, so I'm just going to dive into this. Okay. And this guy made a lot of points, but I'm going to venture off from the points that he made. All right, because we see this. Okay, we see that you know the so-called white man. They claim Italian heritage, or which goes back to the Greeks or the Romans. Okay, whether it's Italian heritage, whether it's uh, German or heritage. Esau ultimately identifies with the so-called white man. He identifies with the Greeks, with the Romans. Now, you had Israelites who were among the Greeks, who were among these civilizations that the white man conquered. But we don't shun what Edomites or white people. We don't shun them for identifying with who who they are. Okay, we don't shun them. Um, we don't run up into classrooms and disrupt their classrooms. They're in a university. They're getting paid inside of a university. Okay, and we don't as of yet. Okay, we don't run into a university, into a history uh, classroom, and shun these so-called white people for their heritage. But when we say this is our heritage, and we're bringing it out, okay, you have the wicked, all right, the wicked, I say Esau, vocab Malone, all right, Abu, Kamir, all right, Kamal, whatever his name is, Abu, all right, Dr. Brown, okay, all of these Edomites, and even our people, okay, they jump up and they have a problem, okay, with you identifying with your heritage. All right. And right now we're living in the time of the wicked. All right. So 1 second. Okay, because this is not anything that we could fake. Okay, you can't fake your identity. All right. Uh, this is Job 17:8. All right. It says upright men. All right, and we are the upright men. When you look around in the world today, the world has embraced a culture of violence, a culture of decadence, okay? A culture, a culture that is just hell bent on being wicked and evil. And the so-called white man, he is the creator, the founder. He's the founding father of wickedness. All right? And that's going to be the title. Because they've taken down some of my videos, all right? As soon as I put them up. So Esau, the so-called white man, is the founding father of wickedness. And 2/3 of you, Jake, you are uh, shit. High. All right? You're up to it to your eyelids, all right? You're up in this wickedness to your eyelids. Um, you know, with the invention of technology, uh, the AI has evolved uh, in the way of pictures, all right, photos. So AI has, a old photo that you may have, you could put it put it in the AI, and the AI brings the photo really to life. You know, you know, Polaroid photos. They bring them to life. And I was just strolling looking for videos, and uh, there's these and I don't know if I have it or not. I don't know if I saved it, but there's these videos or these photos of old Chicago gangbangers. All right, of old Chicago gangbangers, and they brought these photos to life. Okay, and people, our people, they have embraced. They're happy, they're cheering these gangbangers, and see, that's what goes on. Okay, that's what goes on when you're governed by the wicked. You see, when you're governed by the wicked, they're able to put out a movie about the King of New York. All right, Denzel played what was it? Forgot this drug dealer. All right, name American Gangster. Okay, and Denzel played Frank Lucas. Okay, big time drug dealer. All right, and whether it's Frank Lucas or Big Meech, okay, or any other drug dealer, gangbanger, our people, that is the identity that our people have accepted. That's who they idolize. That's the culture that they want. Okay? See, this present life is not for the righteous. Okay? This present life, this present reality that we're living in, okay, is built for the wicked. And the wicked is prospering. Okay? Now, a lot of, the word prosper, okay, you have to break that word down. Okay? But let me finish reading this scripture first, because this could be a long lesson. Because for the simple fact, Jake, his vocabulary is low. All right, he doesn't understand what it is to prosperous. Okay, and words, you have to be careful with how you use words. All right, we see that Esau, he uses words, especially in his court system. Okay, to his advantage, which makes him the wicked. Okay, because all he does is create confusion. So Job 17:8 says, upright men shall be astonished at this. All right. And the innocent shall stir up himself against the hypocrite. Okay. And so that's what you see us doing now. We're stirring up ourselves against the hypocrite. Okay. This scripture is twofold. All right. But now we're stirring up ourselves against the hypocrite because, we're innocent in the fact that we didn't know the truth. The truth wasn't we was withheld from our understanding. And so once you know the truth, okay, and then you got these Israelites that say, well, I'm not an Israelite anymore. I'm going back to the church. Hey, he said once you've known this truth, roughly paraphrasing the scripture, Salakia, um, it said it'd be better that a millstone be tied around your neck, man. All right, and you be cast out. All right, roughly paraphrasing the scripture. Now, I didn't, hit it, but you know the scripture. There are plenty of scriptures that go into that, man. Once you've known and tasted and eaten of this truth, and then you go back, you talking about you're gonna be a Christian again. You see, verse 9 says, "The righteous also shall hold on his way." Okay, so the righteous is going, no matter what, they're going to hold on to being the righteous, and even when we were in the world, okay, there's no one in the cap that was a Alpo, okay, that was an Alpo Martinez, you know, nobody in this truth was a big meech, okay. You might have dibbled and dabbled here and there, okay, but you wasn't big meech. And so the righteous, okay, and an Edomite can never be a part of the righteous. These heathen, okay, these heathen nations that you people want to save, they can never be a part of the righteous. All right. they can't hold on to it. All right? It says the righteous also shall hold on his way, and he that hath clean hands shall be stronger and stronger. Okay? But as for you all, do you return and come now? For I cannot find one wise man among you. All right? So, you know, Esau has no part in the righteous, man. Okay? Your vocab Malone's, uh, again, Dr. Brown's, uh, Abu, okay? They have no part with righteousness. All right? And I said I was gonna get a word, check a word out, so I am. And the word was going to be prosper. All right? Or prosperous. Which one? I do prosperous. Prosperous, all right? And this is from Anamon Online. It says early 15th century, favorable, okay? Auspicious, tending to bring success, all right? So the late 15th century, flourishing, successful, making good progress in anything good or desirable, okay? And you have your Michael Jordans, Michael Jacksons, P. Diddy's, so on and so forth. And though these people prosper, okay, they're able to prosper, okay, they're not prosperous, okay. You'll say, hey, Michael Jordan he's a billionaire. He has a lot of money, okay, but he's not prosperous. P. Diddy is not prosperous, okay. So-called blacks here in America, they are not prosperous. Everything that you have that belongs to you, okay, can be taken away, okay. So that's not prosperous, okay. And so, you know, it says from prosperer, extended form of prosper, from Latin prosperous, favorable, fortunate. Okay, and and the so-called black here in America, you're misfortunate, man. You're misfortunate. By the time that if you do obtain riches, guess what? You've had to cut out your whole family. Okay, friends. That's not fortunate. Okay, that just means that you have some money. The real prosperity and fortune is the knowledge of Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. It's when you are favorable to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, and that's if you're the righteous, and ultimately if you are the elect. Okay, because as the scripture said, the righteous holds on to his way. See, you got Israelites who become ungodly. Okay, they don't want to be an Israelite at all. I don't want to know nothing about that. I'm gonna eat pork. I'm gonna fuck his wife. Okay, and what does that do to us, of the righteous? All right, it's a vexing. We looking like, damn, man, this nigga, look what he done did, man. How's he, upset? And these ungodly individuals, you know, they're at odds with us. So if the ungodly is under the wicked, okay, the wicked Esau. All right, get a scripture real quick while it's on my mind. And so that was prosper. All right. 1 second. Mm, okay. One second. Give me a second. Give me a minute. Okay. There's some good scriptures here, man. All right. So let's look at something else. Salakia. All right, I can't find it, but I'm going to get this. This is Psalms 119 and 155. It says, salvation is far from the wicked, okay? For they seek not thy statutes. All right? So what I did was I was looking for I was looking for a scripture. It should have been, I don't see it for some reason. All right? Psalms 119 and 110, the wicked have laid a snare for me. And the snare is America. Okay, everything that you go through here in Babylon the Great, you want to get with that fine ass woman, okay? But guess what? You have to be of the wicked, believe it or not, okay? Because hey, she's not going to put up with any righteousness that you got going on, okay? You want to get those millions, okay? You want to get those millions. Well, guess what, man? You're going to have to partake. All right, be a partaker with the wicked. Okay, and we're seeing that now with this Diddy trial. You have Prince. Okay, they popped in a tape from Prince from the dead. All right, and he went in and said some things about Diddy. All right, and what Diddy was doing and how he was, you know, uh, the way he was treating artists. They had to do something strange for some change. But where did he get it from? Okay, did not he get that strategy? Okay, from Clive Davis. Okay, so they're not going to expose individuals like Clive Davis. They're not going to get to them. All right, Diddy was recording uh, a lot of these acts. So there are a lot of people, okay, who he had information on and in their behavior. Okay, so this world, all right. Let's see, portion. Okay, John 15 and 19. If ye were of the world, all right. So we are not of this world, man. All right, the righteous, all right, the hopeful elect, they're not of this world. In this world, you're the loser. People treat you like you's the user. Selling drugs to all the losers. All right? You're a loser in this world. All right? And the losers are the winners. All right? So it says, if you were of the world would love his own. Okay? And we understand that because what? We were once in the world. Okay? But when you came into the truth, guess what? The world coughed you up. All right? The world got rid of you. Now they're talking shit about you. All right? Thinking shit about you. And the Lord sees and hears it all, man. Okay? That's why, a lot of times you have to check that. You may look at a brother a certain way, and that's the you have to rebuke yourself, because that's Satan. So John 15 and 19, if ye were of the world would love his own, but because ye are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hateth you. Okay? Let me see. This is second Ezra 6 and 59. All right, because this is not a conversation that's just coming up now. This is not something that you're just going through now. Okay, that's why a lot of Israelites they get disenchanted and they leave this truth, thinking that this is just something. This is something new. Okay, all right. Second Ezra. I can start at 56. Y'all start at 56. All right, and I'm just going to read. It says, this is Second Ezra 6 and 56, and it says, as for the other people which also come of Adam, because they hate us when we embrace our heritage, okay, but they have no problem with Esau, okay. But here we go in Ezra. It says, as for the other people which also come of Adam, thou hast said they are nothing, but be like unto spittle, and has likened the abundance of them unto a drop that falleth from a vessel. So that's very deep right there, man. This is how the Lord is looking at the other nations that you want to save. The people who you think created uh, the Bible, all right? It's cutting them. It says, and now, O Lord, behold, these heathen, which have ever been reputed as nothing, okay, have begun to be lords over us and to devour us. And so they are getting the advantages, okay? A lot of these people, when they come from different countries, they come in and they get grants and federal funding and they set up shop. And you've been here forever, you can't set up shop, all right? It's not by mistake, it's by design. It says, but we, thy people, whom thou hast called thy firstborn, thy only begotten, and thy fervent lover, are given into their hands. So we are in the hands of the wicked. We are in the hands of the ungodly. And the scripture that I was looking for was the scripture, roughly paraphrasing it. When David said, save me from the ungodly man, or the wicked man, which is thy sword. I did a search on it, BLB, but nothing popped up. So if you know the scripture, you can put the scripture in a comment board. But anyway, we are in the hands of the wicked, the ungodly. All right. Verse 59 says, if the world now be made for our sakes, why do we not possess an inheritance of the world? And that's what vocab is trying to do. We went to school as youngsters, kindergarten through high school, okay, 12th grade. And we listened to all the history about this so-called white man, and we had no problem when we went to college. we had to take a history course and know information about so-called white people. But when we educate ourselves and we, come into the understanding of who we are, they're jumping all over us. And not just them, even our own. You see, our own, they're ungodly. Okay? They're ungodly. So that was the question. Why do we not possess an inheritance with the world? Because you're black. Most of you. 2/3 of you are black. So you're never going to possess an inheritance with the world. I was speaking with a friend of mine, and, you know, he's optimistic about his business ventures, but you can't operate a business if you don't have resources, access to resources. You can't. Now you can open up a business and you know you can make some money, but that money's not going to free you. See, you can make some money, and maybe that money you make would be enough money to support, you know, support you, you know, and if you die, maybe your wife will have some money, and your children, grandchildren maybe. Okay, maybe, and that's because you have no heritage. My cousin, all right, he once was he once had a show on actually on TV. It was called Know Your Heritage. All right, and Jake, our people, 2/3 of our people don't know their heritage. All right, and that's what this is about. This is about understanding your way, just like this individual said. He said, you know, uh, you don't see the IUIC, even though they take a military stance. The IUIC, the ISUPK, they're marching and doing crunches. All right, uh, the Nation of Islam. All right, they've been around uh, for for forever. Seems like, right? They have never, not one time, as a group, went out and conducted any evil on Esau. All right, any attacks, you know, on the so-called white man. Never. None of these individuals have, and that's because you are of the righteous. Okay. Now, of course, we defend ourselves. Okay, because people say, "Oh, well, what about those slave revolts?" Yeah, we are defending ourselves. That's in defense. When you see Jake doing something, for the most part, he's doing it in defense. Now he's part of the wicked, part of the ungodly. So he's aggressive. All right, but he's doing it in defense. Whereas Esau, he will always be the aggressor. You see the Timothy McVeigh and 9/11. Okay, 9/11. They tried to blame Ishmael, but that was Esau. All right. So anyway, you know, um, hey man, this is not our world. Okay. We have to bring out videos like this. You know, you can't try to, mix yourself, with what's going on in the world. We left that uh behind. Okay, we left that behind when we came into this truth. We were transformed. All right, we put off that old man. So with that being said, Lord willing, you were edified. Till next time, Shalom.